Jai Shri Radhe Ji, Sab Vaishnav ko Jai Shri Krishna. Day number 208, Varta number 204, Shri Gosai Ji, Kichos Dosababan Vaishnav ki Jai. 252 Vaishnavs, the inspiration of our lives. The story of a penniless merchant Vaishnava from Gujarat who gave the merit from his Vrajayatra to a wealthy trader. Bhav Prakash. This is a devotee of Sattvic disposition. In the eternal Leela, his name is Vrajabhushan, who was born as the penniless merchant. She has one Sakhi named Kamana, who was born as the wealthy trader. They manifest from Krishnavati and are thus personifications of her divine loving sentiment. He was born to a penniless merchant in Gujarat. He was 20 when his father passed away and his mother had died at birth. Sometime later, Sri Gosaiji and his fourth son, Sri Gokulnaji, came to Gujarat. They set up camp in this merchant's village, and this is when he became his disciple. Part 1. He was a merchant but penniless. He nurtured a distinct desire in his heart to gift some cloth to Sri Gosaiji's 7 sons, and also to go on a tour of Vraj. However, he could not afford it. He placed his dilemma in front of many people, saying, "I wish to go on a tour of Vraj, but I have no money." He went round telling everyone. One day a wealthy trader said to him, "If you wish to go on a Vrajayatra, but I will fund you. But I will take all the merit that you earn on the trip." The merchant asked the advice of fellow Vaishnavas, and they told him to accept the deal. Bhav Prakash. Why? In this path of grace, one does not go on a Vrajayatra as if it were a pilgrimage to gain some religious merit. Vrajadharma is the Lord's own land, and being there is therefore already the ultimate divine reward. The wealthy trader, however, was of the mindset that it was a pilgrimage from which one could gain merits. He was not a Vaishnava, and so his heart's awareness was not on a devotional level. He was a merchant but penniless. He nurtured a distinct... Part 1 continued. The penniless merchant approached the wealthy trader and told him that he would accept the offer. The trader told him to write this down, and he did, saying, "I promise to give you all the religious merit that I earn." He had the letter endorsed in the king's court. The trader was not a Vaishnava. He asked the merchant, "How much do you need? I shall give you as much as you want." The Vaishnava merchant took as much as he thought he would need and set off for Vraj. First he went to Gokul and had the sight of the 7 of Sri Gosaiji, his 7 sons and all of their 7 swarupas. He celebrated in all the ways that he had been planning. He then asked Sri Gosaiji's permission to proceed on his Vrajayatra, set off and came to Srinathji Dwara. There he had the holy sight of Srinathji and offered to him all the clothes and jewellery that he had been wishing to give. Then he enjoyed a fulfilling Vrajayatra and returned to Gokul. He saw Sri Gosaiji and stayed there for quite some days. He celebrated in every way that he had been contemplating in his heart. The wealthy trader was waiting impatiently for him to return. Some time later, the Vaishnava took Sri Gosaiji's leave and made his way back home. It took him 1.5 years to get back. The trader soon demanded his religious merit. Once again, the merchant Vaishnava asked the advice of other Vaishnavas, saying, "The wealthy trader is asking for all the merits accrued from my trip." The Vaishnavas unanimously said, "Well, give them to him." He did so. Other people began to chat. "He has given away all the merit, so what did he get out of going? It was just a hardship." Some other Vaishnavas who were sitting nearby heard this and said, "The trader indeed got all the merit. However, it was with his own being alone that the penniless merchant experienced all the celebrations, the Seva, the sipping of Sri Yamnaji's water, the imbibing of the Lord's lip nectar, Adharamrit, and the joy of seeing Sri Thakurji's lotus face, etc. This joy the trader did not feel. He only got the merits accrued from bathing in the holy lakes, feeding the Brahmins, and giving donations, etc. The trader got these, but it is the Vaishnava merchant who had the privilege of doing all the other sevas. Afterwards, the wealthy trader felt that he should also become a Vaishnava. He requested the penniless merchant Vaishnava to make him into a disciple. The Vaishnava replied that he should go to Gokul, where Sri Gosaiji would initiate him. The wealthy trader set off from his home for Vraj, taking with him his wife and family along with a lot of money. He took the Vaishnava merchant with him, and soon they came to Vraj. They saw Sri Gosaiji, and the Vaishnava implored him, "O Maharaj, this wealthy trader has come to surrender to you. Please bless him and accept him as your disciple." Sri Gosaiji initiated him with the Lord's name, and after he had undertaken a fast, also granted him the Brahmasambandh. After the holy sight of the Lord and his lunchtime services, Sri Gosaiji came to sit in his betak. The trader made a donation to him, and then he went to partake of Mahaprasad. He shared his prasadi leftovers with all the Vaishnavas who were present, and they all partook of Mahaprasad. The trader stayed in Gokul for some days. One day he asked Sri Gosaiji where his duties now lay. Sri Gosaiji told him to serve the Lord. The trader requested Sri Gosaiji to grant him some seva, and Sri Gosaiji did so before teaching him all the ways of seva. He instructed, "The Vaishnava who is with you, let him also bathe and participate in your seva. He knows how to do everything." The trader took the Vaishnava into the seva, and they served together. They then asked Sri Gosaiji's permission to go to Vraja. They had the holy sight of Sri Govardhanaji and made many celebrations here and there. They returned to Gokul and remained there for some time. There they honoured Sri Gosaiji and all his children before taking their leave to return to Gujarat. There too they made lovely seva to the Lord, and the wealthy trader followed the penniless Vaishnavas merchants' lead in the seva. Together they developed into great Vaishnavas. It was in this way that the wealthy trader became a lovely Vaishnava through his association with the penniless merchant Vaishnava. Bhav Prakash. The moral of this tale is that the wealthy trader just so much as served the Vaishnava with his wealth, whilst having the desire to get something out of it. But this act was enough to open up his good fortune. He became a Vaishnava, he had the holy sight of Sri Vrajadham and Sri Gosaiji. He drank of Sri Yamunaji's waters. Such the rewards that he received. Actually, if one serves the Vaishnavas with body and wealth with no selfish motive, then there is nothing that they cannot achieve. One should serve penniless and renunciate Vaishnavas to the best of one's ability without any expectation of reward. Thus concludes Varta 204, the story of the penniless merchant and the wealthy trader who were recipients of Sri Gosaiji's great grace and became accomplished Vaishnavas. There is no end to their story. Varta 205, continuing the story of one Kunabi Patel whose neighbour was a merchant named Lard Banya. Bhav Prakash. This is a devotee of Tamasi disposition. In the eternal Leela, his name is Sugandha. The Sugandha has one Sakhi whose name is Kamakuntala, who was born as Larbaniya. They manifest from Bandi and are thus personifications of her divine loving sentiment. Part 1. Once Sri Gosaiji had travelled to Gujarat. This was when the Kunabi Patel requested initiation with the Lord's name. He said, "I have been wandering around in this material world purposely for a very long time. You are most compassionate, so please grace me." Sri Gosaiji initiated him and his wife with the Lord's name. They were told to fast for a day, and then the following day, Sri Gosaiji granted them both the Brahmasambandh initiation. He gave them one Sri Thakurji Swarupa to serve and told them the ways of seva according to the path of grace. Sri Gosaiji continued his journey, and here the Kunabi Patel and his wife began to serve their Lord. They made their seva according to the rules of the path of grace. They offered him only the very best preparations and fed Mahaprasad to the Vaishnavas. Their daily routine followed Sri Gosaiji's instructions very closely, and thus they remained forever filled with the nectar of love for the Lord. Soon the Lord began to grant them his direct experience. Kunabi Patel had a neighbour called Lard Bania. He belonged to another path and was very greedy. In his desperate desire to acquire wealth, he used impure spells. He prayed to the goddess of ignorance and the goddess of darkness. He burned herbal sticks of Gurgal Urad, the odour from which would waft into Kunabi Patel's Sri Thakurji's temple. Sri Thakurji did not like the smell of it at all, and it made him feel sad. One day Kunabi Patel asked his Sri Thakurji, "O Maharaj, why are you sitting there so sad?" Sri Thakurji replied, "Your neighbour, that Lard Bania, worships many other deities and prays to the goddess of ignorance. The sound of his spells and the smell of his incense come into my temple. I do not like it, and I am saddened." Kunabi Patel immediately went to Lard Bania and said, "Please cease your recitation of these impure spells and the reading of the mantras to the goddess of ignorance. Nothing can ever come from such actions. In fact, they will ruin you and block you from any worthwhile pursuit of life." He explained this in many ways, but that merchant would not listen. One day Kunabi Patel told him, "You know, if you become a Vaishnava, you will benefit greatly. Everything you wish in life will be attained." Lard Bania replied, "If tonight I suddenly receive a huge amount of wealth, then I shall become a Vaishnava in the morning. If I do not get such wealth, then I shall never again even consider becoming one." So we're going to pause the story at this very exciting place, And we'll continue the reading tomorrow. Aaj ke Anand ki jai ho. Sab Vaishnavan ko Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Aaj ke Anand ki jai ho.